PEP Radio is a part of the Pennsylvania Equality Project that plays music, news, and weather, actively advocating for the LGBTQ+ and disabled since 2024.
PEP Radio, available on Live 365, Roku, Alexa, and at paquality.com.
Here at Gay SA Radio, we're very happy to welcome the Othering podcast to our airwaves. Catch the show every Thursday at noon CAT, bringing fresh voices and compelling conversations straight to you.
Head over to gsaradio.stream to find out how you can tune in and become part of our family. Don't miss it, only on Gay SA Radio, where you are family.
One man and one woman join forces to rid the world
What are you doing?
of inequality and fascism.
Seriously?
I'm trying I'm trying to do a promo here.
For whom? What are you doing?
Welcome to the Othering Podcast with Mike and Dory. Today we are talking to Lyric. Lyric is a queer disabled singer and advocate who performs with LGBTQ+ and ally chorus in their area. They live with autism and AuDHD and autoimmune conditions including lupus, mixed connective tissue disease, and Sjogren's syndrome. On top of this, they are a hysterectomy recipient due to deep infiltrating endometriosis and are a survivor of sepsis. Finally, they navigate life with bipolar 1, and after advocating for themselves, were recently diagnosed with vestibular migraines. Lyric shares their experience navigating chronic illness, disability, and a child-free lifestyle and queer identity with honesty, insight, and humor.
Thank y'all for having me.
Sorry. All of a sudden it sounded weird. Sorry. I'm just a little flighty today, so please excuse me. My brain is just not at all kind of, cooperating.
I completely understand. I'd be a hypocrite if I judged you for it.
So let's start talking about, you mentioned having Sjogren's syndrome. And usually when you look that up, it just says, dry eyes, dry mouth. But there's actually more to it than that. And you have to go deep down the rabbit hole to kind of find that other information out. How was it when you found out that you had Sjogren's syndrome?
It was really surprising but not surprising because I've had dry mouth and eyes for a long time. I actually didn't really think I'd have it, even though when I was in the process of getting diagnosed with lupus and mixed connective tissue disease, my mom kind of briefly mentioned because the attending doctor in the ER was like, do you have a family history of autoimmune disease? And my mom's like, yes, my mother had Sjogren's syndrome. And then I got diagnosed with it because they test you for SSA and SSB antibodies, but I was positive for SSA. Not by a lot, but, enough to be like, yep, you have it. And I'm like, oh, that's why. It's so terrible. I'm always waking up, needing something to drink desperately. But it's hard to know if my joint pain is from the Sjogren's or if it's from my other diseases. It might be. It's really hard to tell because my lupus infusion does a really good job of controlling my joint pain. So for all I know, it could just be the lupus and the Sjogren's is just my eyes and my mouth, or, it's not. It's really hard to know for sure.
Yeah,
it's just my grandma's unfortunately no longer on Earthside, but I did get to talk to her a little bit about it. She was a little surprised that I got it and my mom didn't, as far as she knows. Yeah, at least I got to talk with her about it for the 2 years after I got diagnosed about it.
Did you have a long journey to also get diagnosed with your lupus and your mixed tissue, what is the MTCD?
Yeah, my boyfriend gets mixed up so badly. I completely understand. It's a complicated. I'm very privileged in that regard. It only took me, I started having symptoms, I want to say in February, and I got diagnosed that September. So I got privileged in that regard to get it early, but I'm also very, very, very stubborn. if you don't listen to me, I will find someone who will, and I won't stop until I find someone who will listen to me and
That's
do a
good.
complete workup. So thankfully, I had a really good PCP that my mom actually recommended to me. She was her PCP, and he just threw a bunch of medications at me, and then prednisone was the only one that worked. Did my research that typically points to autoimmune. I said, oh boy. So I had him test me, and luckily he agreed to test me, because not every provider will agree to test you for something just because you ask for it, unfortunately. I got really lucky in that regard that he actually agreed and was like, you know what, yeah, we'll test you. And everything was off the charts. My ANA, which is anti-nuclear antibodies, basically a measurement saying, okay, is your body attacking itself? Like, how active is your immune system? At least I believe so. And mine was really, really off the charts. And I'm like, oh, well, that's just nice. I'm just going to be stuck with whatever this is for the rest of my life, you know?
How old were you at that time?
I was 21.
Okay. So did that...
It's funny because... Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Did that kind of scare you, like, at the time?
Yeah, I definitely was a little nervous. Luckily, I wasn't scared because, I've been looking into stuff like this. I got, like, my special interest has been kind of like medical science for... Oh my god, I was really young, like 9, 10 years old. So I wasn't really scared. I knew it wasn't a death sentence, but I was more so like irritated that I'd be stuck with it forever. And watching my mom talk about her autoimmune disease, because funny thing is, she got sick with Graves' disease at the same age as I did. So, I mean, I don't have Graves, but she got sick at 21 as well. They did radioactive stuff on her, and it kind of did too much, and now she has hypothyroidism instead of hyperthyroidism. So watching her struggle with that, I'm like, I have to go through this too. But it's kind of a running joke with my brother, because he just turned 21. I said, if you make it to 22 without any issues, congratulations, you're likely okay. And I really hope he does make it to 22 without issues. I really hope he does. So
you also had endometriosis before your hysterectomy. Was that something that was as debilitating as I would assume it was, considering you needed the hysterectomy?
Absolutely. Yes, I did not get as privileged with that, nowhere near. It took me 8 years to get diagnosed with that. 8 whole years. Yeah, in my hometown, I talked to 2 gynecologists. They both brushed me off, and I talked about it in one of my videos on my page. They just threw birth control pills at me, and while it made my periods less frequent, when they did come, they were still just as painful, just as heavy, just as life-altering, I would say. They were heavy. Everyone around me was like, dang, you sure have to, take care of yourself a lot. I'm like, yeah, whatever, it runs in the family. I'm pretty sure my mom also has endo, So, yeah, it was just really debilitating for that full 8 years. Like, I was how old when I recognized it? I was 14. We were going on a band trip to New York. And I want to say it was not even a week before that trip. Like, I was bleeding so bad. I was laying in the fetal position. I was scared I wasn't going to be able to go. But luckily enough, I'm one of the few people, if you're active, the symptoms kind of calm down a little bit. So walking throughout Times Square definitely helped me. And it actually ended early for probably twice in my life. I can count on one hand the amount of times my period actually ended early.
And I understand that totally. I don't have, I'm not positive, but I don't think I have endometriosis. However, my periods were extremely heavy, and usually the cramping lasted 2 days or so, and it would be to the point of where, like, I'd have to shove my fist into my stomach in order to just survive. And
yeah,
I hate the fact that we still are so, taboo about it and don't want to talk about it as much as we do.
Right, absolutely.
Because it's a horrible, horrible thing to have to go through, where you're young and you want to do stuff, but yet you're already, hindered because of having a period that just wants to beat the shit out of you.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I always feel bad for, people assigned female at birth. Even if they don't have endo, I don't play the suffering Olympics. Oh, I got endo and you don't. No. If you have any type of period or any type of pain, I feel bad because they suck regardless of how light, heavy, painful they are.
Yeah,
It sucks. You got to go through it. Period. So I feel bad for every person.
I do too. It's just not fair that it's always brushed off as, well, it's normal to have pain, and I don't think it should be.
No, absolutely not. Right.
Puberty's hard enough.
Yeah, no kidding.
Exactly, for everybody, right? So, as AFABs, the universe is just like, you get extra suffering. Yeah, thanks, Much appreciated for that.
Yes, thank you so much. I wanted to have more suffering. And
exactly.
And that's kind of how it does come off. And actually, there are AMABs who have been discovered to have possible endometriosis issues too.
Yeah.
It's not
Right,
just
so interesting.
AFABs.
Right, exactly. It's so rare, but it's so intriguing to me because they do have, AMABs do have some estrogen, just like how women have some testosterone, just not as much as the other sex would. So, I mean, if you really think about it, it does make sense, but it's still quite interesting, because they don't have that lining of the uterus. However, endometriosis has been proven to not be that same tissue. It's just similar to that. So I do think it's quite interesting how it ends up in someone who doesn't even have a uterus, but it does make sense if you really, really dig deep into it.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of diseases and syndromes that are based off of how much testosterone or how much estrogen you have. And since everybody has both, then it makes sense that we would both share in the pain of endometriosis and various other syndromes and diseases that are like that.
It's absolutely crazy, the human body and what it can do.
Yes.
It's so fascinating to me, but I'm also like, why? That's why I like studying it so much. I'm like, why are you like this?
I wonder that too. And sometimes I wonder if it's, like, for instance, when you look up a lot of diseases, it's rare that I have found one that mostly is in males.
Right.
Usually they talk about it, how it's in women, females, people assigned female at birth, and you hardly ever hear about it in AMABs. But I wonder why that is. Is it because just our genetic makeup has been so different than, AMAB's genetic makeup, or is it that we are actually vocal about it?
That would make I never thought of it that way. And honestly, I feel like it could be either or both, It wouldn't surprise me if it was just because we were more vocal, absolutely. Because, I feel like AFABs are not so, I'm not going to the doctor type people. That's very common in AMABs, like, especially like my own father, for example. He doesn't go unless he absolutely has to. And I quite frankly don't blame him because it's expensive. But, they're more likely to have that, quote, you got to man up or you're weak mindset.
Right.
So it definitely makes sense if you think about that as well. So.
And I think part of it is you guys have all the childbearing organs, so I think that makes it worse for AFABs as well.
Yeah. And seeing as how
they
we aren't
seem to have more issues.
Well, part of it is possibly that because we aren't as studied as everything, against the typical white male cishet person.
Yep.
And everything is based off of that, what a man who is white does. And instead of actually kind of thinking in terms of, well, black males may be different or Asian males may be different versus women. And so because of that, I think it also kind of seems that there's a lot more for us because, again, we talk about it, we mention it. We and they're starting to just now, since 1993, study women.
Right, which is absolutely insane. That's not too long ago.
No,
at all.
Not at all.
No, not at all.
That's absolutely insane. I'm just like, how the world views AFABs is absolutely quite atrocious. It's like, why? I don't get it. I try to look at. I've learned. Along my lifetime to look at things from different perspectives. I just can't seem to wrap my head around why with this one. This one's got me scratching my head. Yeah,
it has mine scratching too. that came out wrong. I have been scratching my head about it too.
We knew what you meant somehow.
Because I don't understand the level of hatred or just disregard to the, people assigned female at birth's body. Why is it that our bodies are just whatever? Why is there so much hatred towards it? And I was thinking recently, maybe it's because we have the ability, those of us who want to, can reproduce. Like, no matter how many children a man wants, he can adopt, but he can never have the ability to carry a child. That is strictly for AFABs. And maybe there's that level of resentment or, jealousy. And so, and most people, when they're jealous of something, they love to put it down.
That does make a lot of sense. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I have to admit, I'm not jealous that you can carry the baby.
Oh,
I don't want to go through that.
No,
I appreciate y'all for that one.
Yeah, you're probably sane, and you're right in the head for that one.
Yes,
but I understand what
Why
you
would
mean.
you want to go through that? Why? That's why I got my uterus taken out. I'm not interested. Thanks. So, I think not being born with one is great. I mean, not to say being AFAB's horrible. No, I'm happy I was assigned that sex at birth. However, there are certain things I could definitely do without.
Yeah.
I really could do without certain things.
well, yeah, I totally agree. And I don't have a problem being AFAB. I think it's fabulous that we're fab, and instead of mab.
Right.
There are a lot of things that I wish that I didn't have to go through, because, like, puberty being a huge one. For me, it was embarrassing and highly uncomfortable and excruciatingly painful. Every month, I wanted to hit my head against the wall because of how much pain I was in. I did sports. I, did sit-ups and things like that, and it just didn't help me. And, ibuprofen wasn't all that great. It kind of took the edge off, but it didn't do anything. Midol didn't help me either. But I don't, at the same time, wish that I was born a male, because they have issues that I don't want to deal with either. And
Exactly.
There's issues on both sides, but I don't mind being female. I don't have a problem with that. But I do get why some people just don't associate with that, and it makes perfect sense to me as to how...
Absolutely.
Because, I don't... Even though I go by female, she, her, I don't always feel female.
Exactly.
There are times when I feel like I'm more of the male than Mike. And, he's 100% my male. So there's those things, and there are times when he seems more feminine than I am. And we kind of share that, even though he goes by male, and he, him, and I'm female, and she, her.
Yeah, absolutely. For me and my boyfriend, I was just like, I'm just here. I'm just back in the middle. Like, certain things I do like to, I guess you could say, like, I don't like using stereotypes like, oh, the man always has to be in charge of the relationship types things, because absolutely not. It really depends on the relationship, but I do like to do that. I like to, do stuff like that. I do like to wear masculine clothing from time to time. It's just at best, worst, however you decide to look at it. I do meet my boyfriend at the male, stereotypes, moods, what have you. I kind of meet him there. I don't necessarily have him beat per se, close sometimes, but I at least meet him there a lot of the time.
No, and it makes sense. I personally, especially with my diseases, it's more comfortable to wear male clothing or male type clothing than it is to wear those tight t-shirts or the tight pants that are usually equated to female.
Right.
So when did you come out as you're non-binary, right?
Yes.
Yeah. When did you come out as non-binary and queer, and how well was that accepted with family and friends?
In terms of family, pretty much none except for technically my dad's side of the family, because he's getting married later this month, and his fiance is very accepting, and I guess she kind of rubs off on him. So I got lucky in that regard. Mother's side of the family, not so much. I'm still, dead names. Luckily, I'm one of the few people under the trans umbrella that's not really bothered by their dead name. I'm definitely lucky in that regard. But definitely quite full blown ignored by my mother's side of the family, unfortunately. Which it is what it is. At first, it really hurt me, but as I grew, and I always say to trans people, whether you're non-binary or trans, whatever you decide to call yourself, if you do not fully identify with your assigned sex at birth, I always say this: you know who you are. Don't let people try to say or judge you for knowing who you are. Be comfortable with who you are,
Mm-hmm.
Of course, if you're misgendered or dead names, is that right? No, especially if it's not on purpose, correct them. But, remember, as it's much easier said than done. But try to
Right.
remember at the end of the day, you know who you are, and that's it. That's it. Regardless of what people say, that's it. You are who you are. If you just like I'm lyric. I know I'm lyric, regardless of what my name at birth was. It does not matter. And I hope, trans people, it's so hard to do. It really is difficult. I hope that as many people as possible can learn to remember that, and, not be comfortable with being dead named, because no, it's not right. But, learn how to cope with it, because sometimes that's a lie. All society is always going to be stubborn and kind of be stuck in their ways, at least a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, in terms of me coming out, it was right before I met my boyfriend. I want to say like early 2021, late 2020. Except I went by a different name. I went by what my middle name is now, Rain. I was like, no, I want to switch it around. I sing, I play instruments. I'm like, what, lyric really fits me, so why not?
I like the name Lyric.
So
I think
do
it's
I.
quite beautiful. And
Thank
just, it does fit. Like, if you are doing poetry, which, is music is poetry,
Yes.
it's fitting to pick a name that just makes you feel like your best self. Because sometimes the name that we're given at birth isn't always what we love either.
No.
That's what our parents loved.
Yeah.
Right.
I still, to this day, I love my parents. There could have been worse names that I could have been named. And
Right. I hear you.
I don't love my first name all that much. Like, there are times when I wanted to go by so many different things. And it's not to say that that's the same as dead naming. It is not.
Right.
At all. I'm just saying at how I like your name, and I think it fits beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we sometimes can pick better names than for ourselves because we know who we are than
Right.
maybe our parents do sometimes. Even though
Right.
it is hard when your child
Yes.
changes their name or things like that, because
Sure.
you thought you picked something beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah, I guess that's why I, stopped caring too much, because part of it's, again, I know who I am, and that's it. No one can convince me otherwise. But also because I don't hate the name my parents picked for me. Again, I could have been named much, much, much worse than what I got. Oh my
Yes.
God, I've heard some crazy names, and some people are okay with their names, which I think is really awesome of them. Good
Yes.
for you. I'm glad you're not ashamed of it. But sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, well, my opinion doesn't matter. If you're happy with it, that's all that matters. But the crazy thing is, I still, my mother is still one of my biggest supporters in other ways, which I think is really funny. She's the person I go to first. She knows most. She knows pretty much everything except things you probably don't want to know about your child.
Yes.
So
Right.
I tell her everything. She's really one of the first few people I go to, if not the first, for certain situations. So, I'm glad to have that support, but I just wish she would, use the right name. But if she never does, she never does, and that's okay with me. I still love her, and that's still my mom. So even though, if you are trans and you decide to cut your mom off due to it, that is completely okay, and it's valid too.
That is
That's
valid.
completely okay.
Anyway,
I'll never try to say, oh, well, that's your mom, so you need to get over it or stick. No. If you don't want to, you don't have to.
No.
And that's it.
And even if they're really, let's say, in the utopia, there's no such thing as LGBTQ or no such thing as race and all of that, even though race is a social construct. But even if none of those other things existed, if your parents are toxic and cruel or something like that, or just don't work in your plans type of thing, because sometimes you just don't mesh. And it's okay to go talk, whatever it's called.
Non-contact.
No contact.
Yes, thank you. Not non-talk.
Sure.
Cut the communication if you have to, because in the end, our own sanity has to come before being able to deal with sometimes our parents.
Right. Exactly. Parents, aunts, uncles, siblings, I'm not going to blast them on this podcast, but I will say I know actually a couple people, so it doesn't matter. A couple people with just family members that are just awful, and they just feel pressured because, family blood is thicker than water. And I specifically say, I'm like, I'm never, ever going to tell you what to do with your life. That is your call.
Mm-hmm.
But if they keep making you suffer this much, you do have every right to either go low contact or no contact.
Mm-hmm.
But again, that is up to you, because I don't want, you, being upset with me later if you feel like that's not the right call. I will never, ever have that on my conscience.
Right.
And plus, you're your own person. Do what's best for you.
Yeah.
But, I really hope people learn to be okay with the fact that, I have the power to cut contact, just like any other person in my life. I have every right to cut this person off. It doesn't matter. Should it get to that point? Absolutely not. I hope it doesn't. But, sometimes it does, and it's quite unfortunate, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, there's so much freedom and happiness when you can be authentically yourself and show or do what you feel is you, and not have to change yourself or hide yourself to meet someone else's expectations.
Yes.
I feel like we've all kind of been through that to some degree, some more than others, and I just think, be you. And if they can't take it and accept it, that's their problem.
Yeah, it is their problem. And I think that's
Exactly.
that's the thing that a lot of times, especially those of us who are older, like I grew up with family is everything. You have to be with family even though they don't necessarily treat you right or, things like that. It's still family. And
Yes.
I get it from the point of my parents, because their parents died when my parents were very young. And so it's kind of like I understand where they're coming from in that aspect. But at the same time, I feel like if those family members make you feel awful or treat you horribly or, anything like that, you shouldn't have to.
Yes, exactly.
Family is important. Family should come first. But if they're treating you like shit, cut ties, whatever you need to do to
Protect
make sure
yourself.
that you're okay.
Yeah, protect yourself.
Exactly. And the same goes for family members who just simply aren't there for you at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a reason to go no contact with certain members of my family, but I just gone low, I kind of do this with everyone in my life though, so I'm not specifically doing this to them. I'm just treating them like I would any other person.
Mm-hmm.
If I always have to initiate contact, I'm going to stop. Because I feel like I'm bothering you.
Yes.
Right.
Why should I make myself uncomfortable and like a burden? I know I'm not, but why should I put myself through that when, I really want to see how much you care about me. Let's see. Let me sit back and see how long it takes you. And I've been quite disappointed with those results. I'm not going to lie, but again, what can you do? I have other means of support, luckily enough, but it's terrible still.
Yeah.
It is. And I'm glad that you have support behind you and that you're able to amass, a group of people that love you for you. And
Right.
because that's important. If you have to chase people in order to make them, do right by you or be in your life, I don't think they're really worth it. You should never have to chase people to be friends with you or to be family. or whatever it is that, relationship you have with them. It should be a mutual understanding of, yes, of course people get busy. And sometimes you can't drop everything at that moment to speak. And that should be understood there. But at the same time, I shouldn't have to constantly call you or constantly text you or email you.
Right.
And you never do anything back.
Exactly. It's just, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. And only texting me or calling me on holidays or my birthday, thank you, but...
Yeah. At least they remember your birthday. There have been times when, people I thought were important didn't even remember my birthday.
I'm sorry about that.
Thank you. It's just, I think that you should show people that you care by at least, writing it down. I don't know. Maybe it's just being picky, but, communication and relationships are so important, regardless of whether or not you're LGBTQ or not, LGBTQIA plus or not. And I think it's more important when you're on the rainbow, because we are so ostracized and so othered and so pushed to the side because we don't fit the mold of, binary of female, binary of male. That never really existed until colonialism anyway.
So I wanted to talk about the autism and ADHD. Growing up in school, did that cause a lot of, problems? Did you struggle a lot because of that and struggle socially because of that?
In every way possible that you could think, except for speaking, I probably did struggle. So academics, socialization, eating foods, everything that I could think of. I might be missing a few. It may not be every single thing, but I will absolutely say I definitely struggled quite a bit. My grades were at best, well, I did meet the honor roll the first elementary part of middle school, probably just 6th grade if I had to guess, but the rest of that, C average. I get lucky. My grades kind of just randomly got better at the end of my senior year, but it was really pretty much last minute. My GPA wasn't that high. But yeah, I still struggle to make friends. There was this meme I saw that said my entire circle could fit on this short bus. It had 5-6 seats max. And I'm yeah, that's about it.
Yep.
I'm very grateful for them. Don't get me wrong. I'll never sit here and be like I have no friends. I don't have many, and that's okay. But it took me a long time to make friends. And obviously, just as any other person, it's not just exclusive to autism or ADHD. I obviously lost some friends along the way. Not because they are necessarily bad people. It really takes me a lot to call someone bad anyway. But they just, kind of dropped off. I luckily didn't have to deal with very messy friendship breakups, if you will. But they definitely kind of dropped off, and absolutely at the end of my high school, I definitely noticed some people kind of went off with the people I introduced them to. I absolutely hated that. I still hate that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't hold a grudge, but I'm like, oh, really? Dang. All right then. Glad I could be of service. You didn't even thank me for it, but whatever.
Yes, it does hurt.
And it's better to have a handful of good friends than a bunch of friends.
Yes.
Exactly. That's what my mom and my best friend always tell me, hey, you have us and that's good. I'm like, you're absolutely right. It just sucks because I have to I feel like I got to try so hard, and I feel like the fact that I try hard pushes people away further. And, I struggled with I still struggle with eye contact sometimes. Nowhere near as bad as I used to, though. I could at least glance every now and again. Back then, not so much. And I got made fun of it like crazy. I got made fun of for that. I got made fun of for stuttering. I got made fun of for acne, which I still struggle with. Now that I don't have a uterus, my acne got bad again. And I'm like, you know what? At this point, luckily enough, I love myself enough to be like, you know what? I'm still beautiful. I don't care. But, I'm like, ugh, do I like this? Of course not. But I'm just happy I don't get bullied for it. I'm one of the few people that, how everyone's like, oh, I wish I could be a kid again. Not me. No. Because I don't get bullied for my looks anymore. I don't. So I'm like, perfect. I'm at peace, at least in that regard. Sure, I have things going on, but I don't got people picking at me like that. I can, breathe at least a lot more and not have to worry about grades and feeling like a failure because I got my grades wrong. And, I've tried to go back to school, but my ADHD is like, absolutely not. No, you're not going to be able to focus on that. So, I just haven't, and it does really make me upset. And like, I could do better. I wouldn't say a failure. I wouldn't go that far, but I would say, it makes me feel like I'm behind in life, like I could do better. So definitely back in school, I wasn't lucky enough to get, IEPs, 504 plans. My mother tried to get me one, but for some reason they wouldn't grant it to me because they're like, oh, well, you still got good grades. Because at the time I had like B on a roll or something, but then it dropped off and I got at best the average. And I'm like, well, it could have been prevented possibly if you granted that.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
That definitely could have helped.
they never would even look into me at all because I had good grades. And it's not that the grades shouldn't necessarily dictate whether or not somebody deserves the right accommodations and such, because at the end I still struggled because I had to do extra in order to make sure I could keep up, and it causes massive burnout when you have to go over and do so much just to keep up, trying to keep up. And now it's like sometimes looking at a computer makes me want to puke because I am so sick of them. And I used to enjoy them, and it kind of saddens me that I got to that point, but I also didn't know I had neurodivergence because, again, being, especially back then, it was, you're a female, so of course you don't have it, and you have good grades, so of course you don't have it.
So I wanted to go back to what you said about bullying. I had a very similar experience to you. I was bullied for the way I looked, for what I didn't know or what I did, or because I didn't date a girl early enough, all that stupid shit that they bully you for. And that I'm 44 now, and it still fucks me up. I still don't talk in public very much because I figure that's just more fuel to the fire to bully me. It screwed me up my entire life. I know in your intro you said you had several mental health issues. Do you feel like a lot of that stemmed from the bullying and the troubles you went through, or was that kind of separate and always just kind of there?
Luckily enough, I'd say it's rather separate. I feel like for example, my bipolar, definitely genetics to some degree. 1,000% genetics. So I don't know who I have to thank for this lovely gift, but it's definitely genetics. But yeah, I will say bullying did make me like 1,000% like want to unalive myself.
Yeah.
Like I started feeling those at like 7th grade, and I self-harmed pretty badly. I mean, now I'm like almost next year I'll be a decade clean from that, which is awesome. But
that is awesome.
Good.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it was just really hard to stop, because I would use it as punishment to myself. Like, oh, you didn't do good enough today. You looked absolutely terrible. But anything I could punish myself for, that was my reasoning every time.
Yeah,
And
bullying is awful.
It is. And I honestly, and maybe again this is my naivete speaking because I am neurodivergent, but I don't understand the benefit of bullying somebody. I never have.
Right.
I don't understand why we even need to, because as a bully person, you're miserable if you're going around bullying people. You're obviously miserable. You're obviously upset about things, and you need help. And to go around and bully people, it doesn't make them feel any better. At least not that I've observed. They don't seem happier. They don't seem well adjusted to anything any better than people who didn't. In fact, they were worse, it seems.
That seems like the ones that most of them don't change. They continue to do it as an adult too.
Right.
That's
and
no better.
It is no better. And they still seem like miserable pieces of shit. Mm-hmm. And I don't, I'm not saying children are pieces of shit, although some of them could argue for that title. But for the most part, though, it's a learned thing. Their parents do that to them. And you should speak out and get help. Because
Exactly.
I don't understand wanting to perpetuate the harm. It does not
Exactly.
do anybody any service. And it angers me beyond belief when they don't improve.
Exactly. It's like I would never like what I went through. I would never inflict or wish upon anybody.
Right.
Right.
No, like you have to do something absolutely malicious for me to want to get even with you. Granted, I wouldn't go the bullying route, but if I really wanted someone to feel what I did, fine. But you'd have to be absolutely like horrible, 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 like like something really bad, not just for existing.
Right.
Like that doesn't make sense to me.
No.
I don't get it.
And it absolutely boggles my mind at racism and sexism and all of that stuff, because I just don't understand it. Why
Me
is
neither. Yeah.
my existence so bad for you? Why can't you just worry about your own life instead of worrying about what everybody else is doing?
Exactly. I always say, I've dealt with quite a bit of people who don't know how to mind their business
Yes.
in my life. I always say people who are so worried about other people's business, they're too worried. They're too scared and cowardly to look at themselves in the mirror and worry about their business, because they know if they try to look at their business, they'll really realize how miserable their life is and how
Right.
much work they got to do to fix that.
Yes, of course it's a lot of work. I mean, it takes a lot of work to be happy, but it's
Yes.
worth it, because living your true self, being free to do that, being free to be who you are and be with who you want to be with or not, is so freeing. Having the choice to marry or not marry, have the choice of children or no children, having the choice of being with a man or a female or whoever you want, is so wonderful, and it makes me happy.
Yeah.
And it makes me happy to see other people have that ability to do that, because I can't look at somebody and say, oh, they're happy. That's terrible.
Right.
It doesn't make sense
No.
at all.
It's definitely jealousy and or
Yes.
envy for sure.
I think it's a mixture of both, honestly. I think that a lot of it stems from jealousy and envy, that we can do something or have something that they want. And instead of trying, there are certain things you can never have.
Exactly.
You can't wake up tomorrow and decide to be black. You can't wake up tomorrow and decide to be Asian. That's not how it works. The color of our skin is there.
I'm sure some people wish they could.
There are that Rachel Dolezal woman who wants to try to be black, but you can't change who you are on the outside. You can't change who you are on the inside, and you shouldn't have to.
No.
And I think that they are so upset about us being happy, and upset that we're okay in our skin, whether it's darker skin or lighter skin. It doesn't matter to us, and yet, they're out there frying their hair to get curlies.
And a lot of bullies, I think, just want attention, especially in high school and lower.
Yeah.
They're looking for attention, looking for their friends to think that they're cool and whatever.
I think adults that are bullies are still kind of looking for that attention that they didn't get from their parents.
For sure. That makes sense. Absolutely.
And that's not on us to take care of that for them.
No, like I understand that mental health care isn't accessible, but shoot, go on Google. You can find different coping mechanisms there. You don't gotta bully people to bring them down with you. Misery loves company, yes, but I'm a firm believer in karma. I feel like the more you do it, the worse your life's gonna be.
Yes.
At least in my opinion.
No, I think
I hope that's the case.
I'm pretty sure that is the case. I mean, even though there are a lot of bullies that become successful and all that stuff, but at the same time, when you actually look in their lives, there's a lot of turmoil and a lot of sadness. And so they could be billionaires, but they're still assholes. And people still pick up on an asshole. And so you get used for your money or your contacts. Nobody really likes you. Whereas people who are genuinely happy just amass all of these people that are happy with them. And, you share in laughter and joy. And then it spreads.
Exactly. Yeah. understand what it's like to not be happy. I'm still not satisfied with my life, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, my life is the worst. It's not. But again, I've never thought to bring people down with me. It's just not worth it. It's not productive. It's not going to change anything.
No.
Life ain't easy.
No, it isn't.
I can't believe anyone thinks it's great and perfect and is super happy with it. I can't believe that. Maybe it's because of my trauma brain. I don't know, but I can't see that being possible.
It could be. I don't think so either. I don't think anybody's life is perfect. There is no such thing as perfection. And I have to tell myself that a lot because I am a perfectionist where I have to have everything just right type of thing. And you can't. But you can be happy with what you have and, strive for things. There's nothing wrong with being, happy with what you have and having an ambition or anything like that. That's all a part of life, and it's okay to have that. It's when you feel the need to bring other people down is when it's a problem.
Yeah. I don't understand why anyone needs to bring anyone else down. It makes no sense.
None.
And it doesn't feel good.
No.
Especially when you've pissed me off to the point of where I've got to now be nice mean and, cut you off at the knees or cut your head off. But not literally, figuratively speaking. I am not a serial killer going around, hey, I kill people. But no, I don't.
Right.
But because I'm one of those types of people that have a very, very slow fuse.
Me too, yeah.
Except with me.
Well, that's different. But, so shut up. You know the buttons to push. That's why.
Right. Yep. Yeah. They always do. I'm like, you know what?
Damn.
Fine.
Yes, they do. Sometimes they even come home with, I gotta push the button.
I'm like, all right, I'll show you pushing buttons. Go right ahead.
That's what marriage is all about.
Yes, that is kind of what relationships are about. Siblings, friends. You should know each other's buttons.
Right.
We are unfortunately running out of time here. But before we go, did you want to let people know kind of where to find you, like on social media or your advocacy or whatever?
Yeah. My TikTok is my first name, Lyric, and then Rain, but it's spelled with 2 N's, so RAINN, and then the letter S. So that's about it.
And I love your Instagram bio. It says you're a pro yapper.
Yes.
I really am. Exactly.
I love that.
I was always that kid at school. Part of the reason I got bullied, I think. I would always talk. I'd be sent home with the report cards. Student is very disruptive, talkative. I'm like, you know what?
I got that too.
I was the opposite and bullied for the opposite.
Dang.
I was.
You just can't win.
No, you can't. Honestly, people will find whatever they can to bring you down, especially if you seem happy and well-adjusted, because they can't stand to fix themselves. So they have to bring everybody else with them.
But it's like me being quiet, not saying anything, made it easier to bully me, so I don't know.
Ooh, let's make him talk.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I learned not to talk, and whatever.
Right, fine.
And if I ever see those people that...
But I feel like it continues into adulthood, too. Like, I still feel like I get the same treatment from a lot of people. Well, even though it's different.
Because, some people, yes, they are doing the same thing. They may not realize it, but they are doing the same thing. Other people, I think that when we have those traumas of being mercilessly bullied or, disablement, things like that, is quote-unquote unnormal, that our trauma responses kind of jump up to protect us. And so we perceive what other people are saying or doing as a part of that because it may be similar, but it may not actually be what they're doing. Does that make sense?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I believe you're right. It probably is all in my head. Well, not all of it, but a lot of it's probably in my head. And I take it worse than it is.
It's not to say it's in your head. No. Just sometimes certain situations are perceived as such because the wording is similar to what you've heard before in those terrible situations. So, you take it as, oh, they're coming at me. They're coming at me. I gotta shut down.
Right. And one of my biggest problems is always worried about what other people think. So I'm immediately assuming the worst. So it is kind of in
which is valid. It's valid considering everything, you know.
It is valid. Thank you so much. And sorry for my
Of course,
brain
thank you for having
fog.
me.
It was a pleasure to have you and talk with you. But I do hope that we can talk again and have you back on. And
Yeah, absolutely.
that would be great.
All right.
Thank you so much. We'll talk later. Bye-bye.
Right, bye.
If you've made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Please leave a rating for us wherever you listen. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok.
Othering Podcast is brought to you by Loudcore Productions in conjunction with your support. Your host, Mike and Dory Morris, graphics by Joshua Morris, and join us next week on the Othering Podcast.